Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Positive Proof Podcast. I'm your host, Parmis Najmi, and I'm so glad that you're here. If you want to listen to more episodes like this one on self-improvement, mindset, and wellness, go ahead and hit that follow button to join the family. Before I get into today's episode, I just want to ask you guys for a quick and kind favor as usual, and that is if you haven't yet left a review, I would absolutely appreciate if you could do so. It helps so much to build this podcast and help it grow so that we can increase the positive impact we make and just make it a bigger community. And if you're looking for daily motivation, follow me on Instagram at Positive Proof Podcast, where I post behind the scenes content and daily quotes that serve as sweet little daily reminders. And if anyone is wondering how to leave episode requests, you can actually send me your thoughts via the DM me your thoughts link in the description or just via Instagram DM as well. Today, we're diving into a topic that doesn't get enough credit in our fast everything want it now world, and that is delayed gratification. We're not here to shame impulse or preach about never enjoying the present. We're here to have a real, honest conversation about something that's actually helped me build a life that I'm proud of. One baby step, one pause button, one intentional decision at a time. Because the truth is, anything truly meaningful, whether it's, financial stability, your dream body, building your own business, deep confidence, or even peace of mind, it takes time. And that time, it's often filled with moments where we have to choose a long-term win over the short-term high. But here's the plot twist. It doesn't have to feel restrictive. In fact, there's something wildly freeing about being able to say, I don't need it now. I'm playing the long game. It's really powerful. It's grounded. It's kind of like giving your future self a giant hug and saying, I got you. So in this episode, we're breaking it down into 5 super real areas of life where delayed gratification isn't just helpful, it's essential. Let's start with the one that hits us almost every day. Money. Not in the complicated stock market kind of way. I mean the super real, deeply emotional decision between saving your money or blowing it on another Zara haul or a spontaneous dinner or a weekend trip that low-key sounds like a reset but really just drains your bank account. Money is one of the biggest ways we face delayed gratification in real life, like truly. And I don't know about you, but for a long time, I used to think saving was really boring and restrictive, like it meant saying no to fun parts of life, especially when you're young and working hard and finally earning your own income, like adult money. The temptation to treat yourself is really loud. And to be fair, sometimes you should. You should take that trip. You should treat yourself to a new workout set. You should buy that $16 smoothie. Life is meant to be lived, but there is a line, and I had to learn where mine was. Because for a while, my spending was subtle but constant. I justify it all as not that bad, like a $16 smoothie after a workout because health, right? Or a few cute pieces from Aritzia because they were timeless staples. Dinner out with friends because we're making memories. A last-minute flight because experiences matter more than things. All technically true, but add it all up, well, I was bleeding money in the name of living in the moment. And here's the thing I didn't realize. Peace of mind is also an experience. And it's one I was robbing myself of. And that a lot of people rob themselves of. The peace of checking your account and not feeling anxious. The freedom of knowing you're prepared. That is something that you feel too. Just not in the loud, flashy way we're used to. There came a month where, everything hit me at once, like my property closing fees, my car needed a repair, dental work, business startup costs. I remember just feeling this wave of stress, and not because I had bought one big irresponsible thing, but because I'd bought so many little things that didn't mean anything anymore. And they gave me a 2-minute high and a 2-week low. That's when I started to shift. I began to ask myself, will this still matter to me in 2 weeks? And if the answer was no, I didn't buy it. If the answer was probably not, but it's cute, I didn't buy it. If the answer was this is a temporary fix for a bigger feeling, I definitely didn't buy it. And the truth is, it was hard at first. It felt like I was saying no to the life that I wanted, like I was choosing lack. But over time, I realized I wasn't saying no to joy. I was saying yes to real joy, the kind that lasts longer than a cute outfit or a dinner photo. And I started small, nothing intense. I just paused before I swiped. I gave myself 24 hours to sit with non-essential purchases, and if I still wanted it the next day, I'd revisit it. 9 times out of 10, though, I didn't even care about it anymore. I also began practicing something I call reverse romanticizing. You know how we romanticize the shopping bags, the new restaurants, the weekend getaway aesthetic? I started romanticizing not spending. I would literally imagine my future self calm, secure, and proud, walking around knowing she's got money saved, knowing she's safe. That version of me became the new aesthetic. It's also helped to physically see my savings grow. So I made a separate high yield account and I labeled it something personal like the no stress fund. And watching that number go up was addictive in the best way. Every time I skipped the splurge and transferred that money instead, I felt this tiny dopamine hit. But it came with pride, not guilt. And here's where it gets deeper. For a lot of us, spending is emotional. It's not just about the thing, it's about the feeling we think that thing will give us. Confidence, validation, control, escape, belonging, comfort, you name it. And once I realized that, I started doing a little emotional audit before I spent. Like, what am I actually trying to buy here? And half the time it was relief. Relief from boredom, relief from comparison, relief from stress. Oh my gosh, I can't count how many times I shopped for relief from stress. And I had to teach myself new ways to feel that without draining my account. Sometimes that meant journaling or going for a walk or doing a free dopamine detox day or literally just feeling my feelings instead of throwing money at them. And let me just say this. Choosing to save money doesn't mean you don't enjoy life. It means you're being intentional about what kind of life you're building. It's the difference between temporary highs and lasting security, between buying things because they align with your goals versus buying things to distract you from your lack of direction. Saving also taught me how to separate desire from impulse. Just because I wanted something, it didn't mean I needed it right now. That was a big one. And funny enough, once I got into the rhythm of saving, I didn't feel deprived. I actually felt empowered. I felt like I had choices. And with that came a deeper kind of confidence, the kind that doesn't need to flex, the kind that comes from knowing I don't need to keep up with anyone. I'm good. There were months where I skipped travel opportunities, where I said no to dinners out because it didn't make sense for my goals, where I passed on the new makeup launch because I already had what I needed. But you know what I gained? Wiggle room. This is very key. Options, quiet mornings where I wasn't stressed, the ability to support someone else when they needed help, the ability to take time off when I felt burnout, all because I had created a little breathing space. In that space, that is the real luxury. We live in a culture that is obsessed with treating yourself, but no one talks about how good it feels to not need constant treats. How good it feels to say, I'm okay with enough, or this doesn't align with my bigger picture, or I'm building something better than this impulse. So if you're in a season where you're working on saving, whether it's for an emergency fund, a big move, or just peace of mind, or even if you're trying to pay off debt, let this be a reminder that you're not boring or cheap or missing out. You're being intentional. You're playing the long game. You're creating something way more powerful than a mood boost. You're building security, and that is beautiful. It might not look exciting on Instagram, but it feels like freedom in real life. And trust me, your future self, she is already proud. All right, let's get into the body side of this whole delayed gratification conversation, because health and fitness, this one hits deep. It's honestly one of the hardest places to stay patient because it asks you to show up, put in work, make sacrifices, and often see zero results for weeks and even months. Like, tell me why I will eat clean for 3 days, hit my steps, get my workout in, and my jeans still fit the exact same. Meanwhile, I skip one workout and I'm suddenly convinced I've undone all my progress. It is such a head game, isn't it? But that's the thing. Getting healthy, getting strong, healing your relationship with food, or building a body you feel good in, it is the ultimate form of delayed gratification. You're literally doing things today to benefit a version of you that you can't even see yet. There's no instant transformation, no immediate reward, no applause. It's just you consistently showing up in the quiet, hoping it's doing something. And that's where most people give up because we're so used to feedback loops. You post, you get likes. You shop, you feel good. You eat sugar, you get that little dopamine hit. But health, it doesn't give it to you right away. You have to build trust with it. You have to let the results come to you. I remember a time when I was just starting to take my wellness seriously, not just from an aesthetic point of view, but from a how do I want to feel every day point of view. I was tired of feeling sluggish, tired, inflamed, and honestly disappointed in myself. Not because I wanted a six-pack, but because I knew I wasn't treating my body like someone I loved. So I made a decision to start slow. I didn't go all in with some 75 hard routine or cleanse. I just committed to showing up every day in a small way. Like a walk, a stretch, a morning routine, a workout class I actually liked, swapping oat milk for dairy because my skin was mad at me, drinking water before coffee. The tiniest shifts. And at first, nothing changed. But here's what did change: how I saw myself. Every time I followed through on those tiny promises, I felt just a little bit more aligned, just a bit more like, hey, maybe I am the kind of person who prioritizes herself. And that identity shift is what kept me going. It wasn't about the abs or the scale or the compliments. It was about becoming someone who respects her body enough to choose the hard thing in the moment for the easier life later. That's the paradox. You choose the hard workout so life feels easier. You skip the junk food so your energy feels better. You go to bed earlier so your mind is clear. It's all a series of micro sacrifices that build a more peaceful, powerful you. And let's talk about food for a second, because food is emotional. It's celebration, it's comfort, it's convenience. And when you're trying to change your eating habits to nourish your body rather than just feed your cravings, it brings up everything: guilt, shame, impulse, identity, even trauma. But delayed gratification with food is about reteaching your body what it actually likes. Like, do I really love this processed snack, or am I just addicted to the sugar? Do I actually want this, or is it just easy? I started noticing that when I consistently chose whole foods, protein, real meals, my cravings, they changed. I didn't want the same junk, especially sugar. I'm addicted to sugar, okay? But when I have enough protein, when I have whole foods, I don't crave that sugar. And the win wasn't just in eating healthy, it was in feeling in control. And here's a really big thing I learned: your body is always listening. It remembers. It's adapting even when you don't see it. The muscles are forming, the metabolism is shifting, the inflammation is going down, and it's happening quietly behind the scenes. You don't have to see progress every day to know it's happening, and that's part of the trust. Now, one of the hardest things, choosing to move your body on days when you feel like crap. It feels counterintuitive, like, I'm tired, shouldn't I rest? And yes, rest is important, but so is knowing the difference between real rest and avoidance. Delayed gratification in fitness means doing the workout even if you won't look different tomorrow. It means going for a walk even when you're not feeling motivated. It means eating the nourishing meal when Uber Eats is just one tap away. It means reminding yourself that I'm doing this because I deserve to feel good, not because I have to. And can we talk about discipline versus punishment? Choosing health isn't about punishing yourself into submission. It's not about guilt or earning your food or trying to fix yourself. It's about caring enough to say, I want better for me. And that mindset shift is everything. When I started seeing my workouts as love letters to myself instead of punishments for what I ate, everything changed for me. I stopped chasing aesthetics and started chasing strength, peace, balance. And don't get me wrong, I still love dessert. You can ask anybody around me. I still have days where I skip the gym and eat fries, and that's part of the balance. But now it's intentional. It's a choice, not a spiral. Delayed gratification isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about stacking wins slowly until they become who you are. And I think we have this idea that transformation has to be dramatic, but most of the powerful shifts that I've seen in myself and in others came from tiny daily decisions over and over and over. And here's the most beautiful part. The results eventually do show up. You do start to feel better. You do start to notice more energy. You do catch yourself walking by the snacks you used to crave without even blinking. And one day you look back and realize, whoa, I did that. Okay, the next one is personal, because if there's any area where delayed gratification gets real, it's when you choose to build something from scratch instead of taking the safe route with a steady paycheck. And I'm talking about that crossroads where you have a choice. Do I take the high-paying corporate job that looks good on paper and guaranteed stability right now? Or do I pour my energy into something that actually lights me up, even if it won't make me money for a while or maybe ever? It's scary, it's uncomfortable, and it's also one of the most powerful ways to build a life that actually feels like yours. And don't get me wrong, I still work my 9 to 5 while pursuing my passion project on the side, but I can confidently say I'm pursuing my passion project on the side and I'm not just relying on my 9 to 5. When I first started building my own thing, whether it was the business I started with my boyfriend or my podcast or even creating content, there were so many moments where I was like, am I delusional? Like truly. Because I'd be editing a video at midnight, making $0, watching other people with fancy jobs take fancy vacations and drive fancy cars thinking, should I have just gone that route? Because I spent all the money I made on investing in doing my own thing. But the thing is, I know that even if it gives me financial comfort in the short term, it's never going to feel aligned. And I really don't want to wake up 10 years from now with money in the bank, but no sense of purpose. That's just me. That's the silent cost of instant gratification. Sometimes you get the job, the raise, the applause, and you still feel empty. Starting something of your own, whether it's a business, a creative project, a service, a brand, it asks you to be okay with not seeing results for a long time. You are putting in effort, time, emotional energy, maybe even your savings, aka me, without a guarantee. And you have to show up for your dream before it starts showing up for you. And that takes so much guts. But the thing I keep coming back to is this deep inner knowing that what I'm building, it has meaning, that I'm planting seeds, that I'm giving myself a shot at freedom. And that word freedom is so key here, because what is the point of a high-paying job if it costs you your peace? If it keeps you locked in a cycle where you're constantly exhausted, creatively drained, and living for weekends? There's nothing wrong with wanting financial success. We all want to be paid well. But when you build something you own, something that aligns with your values, your lifestyle, your vision, that's a different kind of wealth. That's wealth on your own terms. But it requires patience, so much patience. And some people are not willing to have that patience, and that's okay. Because you don't get that dopamine hit of a promotion. You don't have a manager validating your work. You don't even have coworkers to hype you up half the time. You just have your vision and your ability to stick with it. And this is where most people quit. They start the blog, the business, the YouTube channel, and when it doesn't blow up in 6 months, they think, I guess I'm not cut out for this. But that's not true. You are cut out for it. You just have to play the long game. The people you admire, the ones with successful businesses or big platforms or dream careers, they stuck around long enough to outlast the silence. That's what delayed gratification looks like in real life. Showing up when no one's watching. Showing up when there's no paycheck. When your launch flops. When the algorithm tanks your content. When you question yourself and doing it anyways because you believe in it. And can we talk about how emotional it is to build something from scratch? It's not just work. It's identity work. It's confronting your self-worth, your fear of failure, your need for external validation. It's every insecurity, every perfectionist tendency, every bit of imposter syndrome bubbling to the surface and still choosing to keep going. That's the real growth. When I look back at the moments that shaped me most, they weren't the ones where I got the most views or sales or praise. It was the nights that I stayed up figuring things out on my own. The emails I sent with my heart pounding, the times I said I have no idea what I'm doing but did it anyway. Those are the bricks that built this version of me. And here's something that helped me stay grounded. I stopped measuring success by outcome. What I did is I started measuring it by commitment. Did I show up this week? Did I keep my word to myself? Did I get 1% better? That became the win. That became enough because results come later. But who you become in the process, that starts now. So if you're building something, whether it's a side hustle, a full-on business, a creative brand, a service, this is your sign to keep going even if it feels slow. Even if you're not seeing money yet. Even if people don't get it. You're not behind, you're just early. And the earlier you start, the sooner you'll look back and say, I'm so glad I didn't quit when it felt pointless, because one day it won't feel pointless anymore. One day you'll get the message that says, your content changed my mindset, or I've been looking for a product like this for months, or I can't wait to work with you. And you're going to realize this thing you built, it matters. But none of that happens if you expect instant gratification. Building a life that aligns with your vision takes time. It takes building skills you don't have yet, navigating failures, adapting, refining, learning how to rest without quitting, learning how to sell, learning how to communicate your value. It's a full personal development journey disguised as a business, and it's one of the most rewarding things you'll ever do. So no, you're not crazy for choosing the slow route. You're not lazy. You're not falling behind. You're just not settling. You're being brave enough to bet on yourself, brave enough to wait for the kind of success that feels good on the inside, not just the outside. And I promise that kind of success, it lasts. All right, last point. Let's talk about the part no one claps for. The part you can't take a selfie with. The part that doesn't come with a certificate, a job title, or a glow-up montage. I'm talking about personal development, the deepest, the slowest, and probably most powerful form of delayed gratification. Because this is the part that's inside. It's the work you do when no one's watching. The shifts in how you think, the way you regulate your emotions, the discipline to pause when you want to react, the courage to say no when people-pleasing would feel safer, the decision to grow even when no one's asking you to. This kind of growth is quiet. It doesn't trend. It doesn't feel good right away. Honestly, it feels annoying and hard and thankless most of the time. But personal development, it's the foundation for literally everything else. And here's the thing, growth never feels like growth when you're in it. It just feels like resistance, frustration, starting over, sitting in discomfort and wondering why you're doing this when you could be numbing out instead. And I used to think personal development was going to feel like lighting a candle, making a vision board, and journaling my way into confidence. And while yes, those things help, the real growth happened when I sat in a room alone with my thoughts and chose not to distract myself. When I caught myself spiraling and didn't chase the feeling. When I didn't send the text. When I took the high road, when I owned my patterns and said, this ends with me. That is delayed gratification at its core, because there is no instant reward for emotional maturity. No congrats for setting a boundary. No gold star for unlearning childhood coping mechanisms. No applause when you finally realize you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. But the reward is in who you become. And sometimes we think the work is about becoming someone new. But it's not. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you who to be. It's about shedding the patterns that kept you safe but small. It's about choosing emotional resilience over emotional avoidance again and again and again. And can we talk about the boredom of healing? Because it's not always dramatic. It's not journaling breakthroughs and crying on the floor. Sometimes it's just not reacting, not checking their story, not gossiping, not responding to the trigger, not needing to prove a point. It's restraint. It's grace. It's choosing peace over performance. And that choice doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it feels right. It builds something inside of you that no one can take away. Personal development also looks like holding space for uncomfortable emotions, letting yourself feel envy without letting it turn into self-hate, feeling loneliness without rushing to fill the silence, feeling unmotivated and still choosing to act. Those are the wins no one sees, but you feel them deeply. One of the hardest lessons I've learned is that not everything needs to be fixed right now. Growth is not a checklist, it's a practice, a lifestyle, and sometimes it's just about not giving up on yourself even when you mess up, because you will mess up. You'll regress. You'll say the thing you promised not to say. You're going to repeat those patterns. You're going to forget everything you learned and binge watch 3 hours of TikToks while stress eating leftover pasta. Personal growth also means choosing the long game over emotional shortcuts. It's the decision to journal instead of vent in a way that causes harm. It's listening to the podcast instead of spiraling in your head. It's walking away when you want to be petty. It's choosing the relationship over being right. So yes, personal development might not come with a before and after picture, but it does come with internal peace, with better relationships, with emotional regulation, with deeper confidence, the kind that doesn't need validation because it's rooted in self-respect. You don't get that overnight. You get that by choosing discomfort now in exchange for ease later. And look, you're allowed to have off days. You are allowed to slip up. The power is in coming back. The power is in knowing that you're not broken, you're just learning. You're not behind, you're building. You're not lost, you're unfolding. So if you're on this path, the healing path, the self-awareness path, the trying to be a better version of myself path, I just want to say I see you. Even if no one else does, even if it feels invisible, even if you feel like you've been doing this for years and still feel stuck sometimes, that is part of it. That is what makes it so real. And you're doing the brave work of becoming, of breaking cycles, of building emotional safety in a world that profits off your insecurity, of taking care of yourself, not just physically, but mentally. That's not soft. That is strong. Personal development isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming someone you actually like, someone you trust, someone who chooses the hard thing now because they believe something better is on the other side. And spoiler alert, there is. So that is it. I know this episode was deep and maybe a little uncomfortable at times, but I hope it reminded you that the quiet, slow choices you make every day, they matter, even if no one sees them and even if there is no immediate reward. Delayed gratification isn't about missing out. It's about choosing the kind of life you don't need to escape from. A life built with intention, one that actually feels like you. So keep showing up, keep choosing the long game. Your future self is already so proud of you. And if this episode spoke to you, send it to someone who's also in their growth era. And don't forget to follow so you never miss a new one. To everyone who's made it this far, I appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to chat with you again in next week's episode. Lots of love, Parmis.